If you were to lobby the government into one deep tech friendly policy, what would you ask for?
One area I think I would want some more, or at least I would wish for some more spending is semiconductors.
Right.
Because while they have made allocations, the kind of scale that other countries are doing it at, we are not even like touching.
What drew you to invest in deep tech startups?
When we originally started investing back in 2015, the thesis or the theme that we started with was there are a lot of ambitious founders in India beginning to think about starting up and building their own entrepreneurship venture.
Right.
And a lot of them were doing so in the science, engineering, technology fields. And we, as a team, come from a background of scaling companies in the technology domain. The help that we provide to the entrepreneurs apart from capital is obviously mentoring the companies.
What has been the biggest infrastructure bottleneck you faced as an investor after an investment?
See, I wouldn't think of it like this, because founders and VCs need to make things work, whatever bottlenecks there are.
Inflexor is betting on founders solving hard technical problems with long gestation cycles, but fundamental potential, the kind of ventures that demand resilience and not virality.
Roll.
Inflexor is our second fund.
Right.
Our first fund was originally called Parampara. So Inflexor for us means that we come in or we enable startups when they are right at their inflection point, right at the point when they have their initial product market fit and they are looking to scale. So to say the J curve, that's when we usually come in, and we want to work with companies to enable them to achieve that scale.
Right.
That's the thought behind the name Inflexor.
Yeah. You've spent years working with deep technical founders. What drew you to invest in deep tech startups?
So when we originally started investing back in 2015, the thesis or the theme that we started with was there are a lot of ambitious founders in India beginning to think about starting up and building their own entrepreneurship venture.
Right.
And a lot of them were doing so in the science, engineering, technology fields. And we, as a team, come from a background of scaling companies in the technology domain. So it's like marrying what we know with what is happening in the ecosystem.
Right.
The founders of Inflexor, that is Venkat and Jatin, were entrepreneurs in the US in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And they also witnessed the startup boom that happened in the early 2000s in the technology domain.
Right.
And similar thing was, they began to observe that a similar trend was happening in India right when 2010,
Right.
2014, that time frame. So we wanted to test out our thesis of investing in technology ventures and help them scale.
Right.
So that's the genesis of looking at science, engineering and technology. Now people are calling it deep tech, but originally when we started our fund also, that was our theme, that we want to support companies which are building hardcore sort of tech in these fields. While Hyderabad is a great ecosystem, there are many budding entrepreneurs. Now when you go to Hyderabad, it's not the same Hyderabad that we had back in 2015. Bangalore was the bedrock of technology ecosystem. And there were multiple reasons, right? So companies like Infosys, Wipro started from here. A lot of engineering tech talent is ubiquitously available in Bangalore. That makes it a great city for technology ventures to start from Bangalore.
Right.
Because the hiring is easy, the ecosystem is there, even the entertainment or the other infra is also in place for the young technology crowd, right? So that makes it a great city for entrepreneurship to begin.
Right.
And in our first fund, which was domiciled out of Hyderabad, and we completely invested from Hyderabad, we had invested in 12 companies.
Okay.
But out of 12 companies, almost 7 companies were based out of Bangalore.
Right.
So that clearly sort of gave credence to our thought process that Bangalore is the bedrock of technology innovation. So it made more sense for us to move to Bangalore so that we are closer to the ecosystem. We can sort of meet entrepreneurs more often, and it's an easier both for us and for the entrepreneurs.
Right.
So that's the reason why we shifted to Bangalore. honestly, it depends on, even when they are PhDs, sometimes a person can have a commercial bent of mind. Okay, when you don't have commercial bent of mind is when it gets difficult. And another example that I can give from our portfolio is we are working with a company which has a IISc professor as one of the founders. So you would think that he will come with a very academic kind of bent of mind, but he actually comes with a very commercial bent of mind. I would say it is person dependent, and I honestly think that nature of a person, that what you are born with is very difficult to change. If you're asking me, okay, will I work with a PhD who's only going in an academic sense of the word, that may be a little tougher journey to crack. I'm not saying no to that.
Right.
But he needs to be augmented with other team members who bring the commercial angle to it.
Right.
But if a person already has the commercial angle ingrained or as part of their nature, it makes it much more easier to work with them.
Beyond capital, what kind of infrastructure does Inflexor bring to the table?
We call ourselves, our differentiator is that we are an operator VC. Like I mentioned in the previous question, Jatin and Venkat have been entrepreneurs in the past, and they have built companies over the last 15 years before they started this fund, and they exited those 3 companies successfully. So they have scaled those and exited those. So they have the experience of how to build scale, how to maneuver some of the startup challenges that we founders generally face. And more importantly, the mindset of the founder is what we get to the table. So the main infra or the help that we provide to the entrepreneurs apart from capital is obviously mentoring the companies, incorporating some of the experiences that Venkat and Jatin firsthand had. Apart from that, our team is a combination of entrepreneurial, financial. I'm a chartered accountant. I come from a finance background, and a technology. The team is combination of these multiple disciplines.
Right.
So when we go and invest in any company, apart from capital, we get the mentorship angle that I spoke about. We also help people hire. And again, with the vast experience of building companies, we sort of know like which founder will gel with which kind of people in their team, right? So that culture fit angle is also brought in, and even functional aspects are brought in. Like I've hired CFOs for companies. Technology person Anush has helped people hire CTOs in their companies. And we have also gone into what kind of technology the company is building, how should the product roadmap evolve in the future. We sort of ideate with the founders for the next 3 to 5 years. Right. So these are some things that we bring to the table as a VC.
When you evaluate Deeptech startups, how do you adjust your metrics when compared to a SaaS business?
So these are 2 different businesses. Right? So usually when you look at a SaaS business, you're thinking of scale in the next 5 years. Whether this company is revenue generating, what kind of customers do they have? Are these sticky customers? How can they scale over the next 5 years are usually the questions that a SaaS company, we ask a SaaS company. But often when you are talking about deep tech companies, they don't have all of these readily sort of there, right? So we come in at a stage when their technology is ready to commercialize. Because deep tech companies usually take that much more longer to build their product and get to commercialization.
Right.
So we come in, let's say, at a TRL 7, TRL 8, when they're ready to go to market.
Right.
And the way we sort of evaluate is, does the product have validation from the industry? Let's say, I'll take an example of a space tech company called Bellatrix in our portfolio.
Right.
When we invested in them, they were already supplying thruster to ISRO. They were one of the first startups who started actually working with ISRO, private startup who were working with ISRO. So they had delivered one thruster, which is big validation that ISRO is sort of buying their product.
Yeah.
2, they also had validation from IISc.
Okay.
So IISc was the lab they were incubated in. IISc actually carved out a space in their premises for Bellatrix to build a lab, right, at a very discounted price.
Right.
So these are 2 external validators when we are evaluating the company. So how much ever we do our technology diligence, it also helps that other external people are also actually reputed external people are also validating that technology. So that's one thing that we look at when you are talking about a deep tech company.
Right.
Apart from the technology validation that we internally do ourselves with our resources, what is the other product validation that they have got from customers?
Right.
And a similar example would be a Nopo, which is which is a single walled carbon nanotube company based in Bangalore only. So they were already selling their product to some customers.
Okay.
Although these revenues are very small, these give us validation that okay, this product actually works.
Okay.
So that's the baseline. Okay. Now after that baseline is when we think about scale. Okay. Venture is all about scaling companies, right? Deep tech companies only take a little more longer than SaaS companies, but eventually they also have to reach a scale for it to make sense for investors like us. So is the market going to be large, right? And what are the drivers for the market to be large, right? It may not be large today, but are we seeing the possibility or that the market will become large? So let's say, for example, in Bellatrix case, SpaceX was trying to launch their products, which was recently successful. But we saw that happening and we sort of hypothesized that once this is successful, the number of satellite launches will not be the same, right? Usually countries used to launch like 100 satellites a year. Now it is almost tens of thousands of satellites. And all of these satellites will require what Bellatrix is manufacturing, which is a thruster. So we sort of validated, okay, there is a potential for large market 2-3 years hence. And people will need this product because this is like a engine for a car, right? So you can't run a car without an engine. You can't run a satellite without a thruster. So there is a large market. If multiple satellites are being manufactured, there is a large market. Right? These are some things that we look at before investing in deep tech companies. Third thing, and this should be the foremost thing, the founders, right? What is their background? Why are they doing this? Are they qualified enough to build a technology in this space? These are things that we usually evaluate for any deep tech company.
When these startups are not backed by such large institutions, how do you manage LP expectations?
Again, for us, right? So managing LP expectations, let's sort of keep that aside. As in, for us, we need to be able to believe that the technology is sacrosanct. Okay. So if the technology is sacrosanct and VC market, if it is not backed by a big institution also, there are ways to validate that technology, right? The case in point is there is a company which we recently invested, which we didn't announce yet, but they do something in robotics and AI. Okay. So it's a medical device, and what they do is for cancer biopsy, when they take the tissue out of your body, the tissue needs to be sieved in very fine layers of tissues to actually take it to a scanning machine, do the scanning and get the results out. So this whole process is very manual. So this guy is automating that whole thing. So for markets like US, this is a very expensive process. And he already has one product line actually commercialized in US. So that gave us validation. Right? So there are different ways to validate the commercial viability of the product. Even if they are not backed by big institutions, right? Unless that is there, I don't think a lot of VCs will, risk capital right now in India. Right? Obviously, that is changing over a period of time, but there are different ways to validate. Answer to your question is there are different ways to validate, even if they are not backed by a big institution.
From your perspective, where do you see AI in medicine rising in India? What trends do you observe?
So AI, the one example is obviously the company that I spoke about. Two, I think AI in medicine it's been there in radiology, different multiple sectors, and in, let's say, drug discovery. Right? So these are very prominent sectors. But I think what will happen is in the future, with all the data that is getting collected over a period of time, patient care delivery will become faster.
Right.
That is that should be the ideal objective of AI in healthcare. It should become more precise. Because let's say even now, if you go to a doctor and you're suffering from, let's say, a stomach ache, they'll have to do a plethora of tests to actually figure out what you are doing. Right? So that I think will change over the next 5 to 10 years, where a lot of data collected will result in better diagnosis, faster medicine, and recuperation. Right? So these are some areas I think which will change over a period of time, and even hospitals, how they are managed, will undergo a change with it.
Right. Do you also take into consideration data privacy laws or sensitive data that's there in medicine?
Yes. So that is a mandate for most VCs, that data privacy laws and some of these data protection acts are truly implemented, not just implemented for implementation's sake, because that's a social risk, right? And we are cognizant of those social and governance risks.
Right. If you were to lobby the government into one deep tech friendly policy, what would you ask for?
So government is already obviously doing a lot of things. Some of the things that they have started is deep tech for the deep tech fund that they have announced, space tech fund that they have announced, and they've also announced one fund for the VCs where it's called RDI, Research Development Initiative, which will come into, which is a concept paper now, which will come into sort of fruition in the next hopefully 6 months, right? Where there is a large fund that is being allocated to VCs. So they are obviously doing a lot of things. One area I think I would want some more, or at least I would wish for some more spending is semiconductors.
Right.
Because while they have made allocations, the kind of scale that other countries are doing it at, we are not even like touching.
Right.
We need we have to go a long journey.
Right.
That's if you want to become a power in semiconductors.
Right. What has been the biggest infrastructure bottleneck you faced as an investor after an investment?
See, I wouldn't think of it like this, because founders and VCs need to make things work, whatever bottlenecks there are. Because whatever be the case, you need to get the outcome out. Okay, you need to make things work. Land availability probably for some of these manufacturing companies, right? So more parks, let's say industrial parks, is something that that I would call out. Yeah, so that's one thing, and some subsidizations for some of these early stage companies is what, it's more a state level subject, not a central level subject. Because some of these allocations and subsidies are state government driven. So some of those things is what I would talk about more than anything else.
Right. Coming to your investment portfolio, emotion AI is also very niche and experimental in this ecosystem right now. When you backed Entropic in 2019, what was the core IP thesis that drew you in?
Entropic again was an interesting company, which is what I was referring to in a conversation before we started the interview. That was the AI company that we had invested in. The interesting thing about Entropic was, if you talk about consumer research, before Entropic happened, there were these companies which used to collect long surveys.
Right.
Okay. So when you have a user group and a user group is presented an ad, the ad plays and the ad is done. And then you are given a questionnaire on, let's say, how did you feel? Multiple questions about how did you feel while watching the ad.
Right.
So there are two things that can happen. One is the user can be biased by other group members around him in his responses. And two, he may misinterpret what he's actually going through at that point of time.
Right.
You may not completely know, okay, this is the exact emotion that I was going through at this point of time. What Entropic did when they started was, they had these headsets, these brainwave mapping headsets, which are ubiquitously available in the market. But what didn't happen in the market was analyzing those brainwaves, of what those brainwaves meant while a user is watching an ad. So interpreting that and giving the ad maker, let's say you are Britannia and you have made an ad, the Entropic could give pinpointed data on when the user was engaged, when the user was disengaged, or when the user was happy, sad, or disinterested. There were about 10 emotions that Entropic could interpret from the brainwaves, mapped from the headset, and give that data to the ad maker so that he can make changes in the ad to get the right emotion out of the audience. So that was the original thesis with which they started. What they told us at that point of time only, which they did after that, is they had collected all this data from brainwaves from multiple people, sort of imposed or superimposed that data on facial movements and eye tracking.
Okay.
So instead of having a headset every time, they were able to port that data onto your facial movements, and let's say your face movement eye is twitching.
Yeah.
You map that eye twitch to, let's say, something to your brainwave data that they already had. So they were able to remove the brainwave stuff altogether.
Okay.
And only with your eye movement and facial movements and voice tone, they were able to do this analysis, right? So that was a great innovation in the market research domain, where people were relying on questionnaires. This is more real time, this is more accurate data for brands and UX designers, UI designers. They were able to make changes in their marketing campaigns. So that was the thesis with which we started. In case of Entropic, market size actually was a question that a lot of us debated about. But we thought something as innovative as this will create its own market.
Right.
And largely that thesis actually played out.
Apart from the market size, what were the biggest barriers that they might have faced from POC to enterprise adoption, especially in India?
In India, there was a lot of pushback. I mean, there were a lot of doubters for this market.
Yeah.
Right? So that's when we decided that, okay, let's try this in some other markets. Interestingly, they went to UK and US. That's when actually the market actually started. Companies like Ipsos started becoming their customer with very large contracts. That's when the Indian customers also started taking notice and started buying some of these products. Right? So yes, initially Indian companies were not believers, but then when they saw the results from outside of India, they also started sort of believing this that the data will work.
Right.
So that's the journey of the company. Right. But yes, initially it was hard.
Coming to Deeptech exits, how did you plan for a viable exit with Steradian? Were there any risks with that?
So when Steradian happened, Renesas was already their customer.
Right.
Renesas, which eventually acquired their company, was their customer. They were trying out their products.
Okay.
Actually, this also plays into that original thing that I said about Bellatrix, that there was a customer who actually validated in case of Bellatrix also. The same thing actually happened here, right? It was Renesas was looking at them to buy their product, use them in their autonomous driving chips. When we originally invested in the company also, that was the thesis, that we are going in this company thinking that the exit will come from one of these guys, Renesas or some other chip company who will buy their product. We never invested in Steradian thinking that, okay, we will make chips and sell it to outside customers. It was also always a licensing play. Right. That is, we will develop a IP and that IP will be licensed out to companies like Renesas, who will actually distribute the product to the customers. We were thinking of a 5-year exit timeline, but fortunately for us, it happened within 2 to 2.5 years.
Right.
The risks that we underwrote at that point of time were that the product not taking off completely, the technology not actually, because it's a very high tech for autonomous vehicles. Right? So autonomous vehicles are still they're there in the US, but still we are far away from fully autonomous driving. So market accepting that product was one of the risks that we had identified. It may take a longer gestation period than we are thinking.
Okay.
Right? That was one, and fab not happening in the way that we actually thought, or the founders actually thought, was another risk that we had identified.
Right.
So these were risks that we had identified at that point of time, but fortunately, Renesas saw value in the product and eventually they got acquired. Right? So that's.
Among your portfolio, which company has faced the toughest ecosystem wall, and how did you help them overcome it?
I think Bellatrix is one company that I would sort of say, because obviously the technology that they have developed or developing, going to develop, are not easy to develop. Right? So they need a lot of support from defense organizations, ISRO.
Right.
So some of these organizations need to support, which they are doing. But a lot of times it takes a lot of time. These organizations move at the pace that they move. It's again not for lack of intent, but it's just the way that the machinery operates.
Right.
Sometimes frustrating. Okay. We can't obviously push that too much. And if anything needs to change, for your previous question about infra or ecosystem, this is something, if let's say, government focus. Government is doing a lot of things. IDEX is one of the initiative. But the pace at which some of these organizations move, if we can quicken them up, that's the biggest help that the ecosystem will get, right? Apart from all these policies or funding announcements that government is doing. So the pace at which these organizations move is what I would sort of say as the biggest challenge. In case of another deep tech company called Nopo, which is a single walled carbon nanotube company, that is also changing right now. But when they started, there were very few believers that something like that could be developed from India. Right? So the entrepreneur founder had to go through multiple trials, tribulations. It took him 10 years to develop the technology. You know, if he had started probably now, he could have probably developed in 6 years. So ecosystem also needs to, like we were discussing, it is not just about talking about deep tech.
Right.
Actually sort of enabling some of these journeys to happen and support them in a moral, in a scientific, in every way that you can, will quicken the deep tech evolution of Indian founders.
One of the biggest examples of exits was Flipkart a few years ago. How do you think exit strategies or the paths have evolved since then?
Obviously, when, like you rightly pointed out, Flipkart was one of the biggest exit sometime back. So even when we started in 2015, our thesis for each company was, okay, whether this company will go through an M&A exit or let's say a financial buyout, right? Let's say our stake being bought out by the next investor, or in very few cases, company going for an IPO. These were the 3 exit paths that were available for VC investors back when we started in 2015. Over the last 5 years to 7 years time, there's something called secondaries market, which also got developed over the last 5 to 7 years globally. The concept is basically that once you have a portfolio of companies, in addition to the 3 exit paths that we already discussed, there is now a 4th exit path wherein you can actually exit some of your companies to a secondaries buyer.
Right.
So if you have good companies in your portfolio which are doing very, very well, there are global investors, or even in our case, Indian investors, who will come in and buy that portfolio of assets. And you are given a new extended life, wherein the new LPs will invest, will sort of buy out the portfolio from the existing investors. The existing investors are given out their returns, their cash exits, and the new investor will continue on the cap table, right? And GPs get to continue with the fund, managing the new fund. So, example that I can give from our own sort of experiences, our fund 1 was completely exited into a new vehicle, which is a secondaries vehicle, which has been led by HDFC AMC, wherein we are continuing to manage that portfolio of companies, right? So the initial 7 years and then additional 5 years, right? So each company, I mean, if the company is not exited until now, gets about extended period of 5 years to actually exit. So some of these changes in the ecosystem, we think will only will enable the ecosystem to mature over the next 5 to 10 years.
Right.
And that will play into VC's mindsets also, is what I think, right? So they'll be more amenable to take a risk at an earlier stage of a deep tech company, because right now they're operating in a short time span of 10 years, wherein a deep tech company may take about 15 to 20 years to scale and exit. With the secondaries, other opportunities to exit that are coming into the market, VCs may also start thinking that, okay, I don't have just 10 years. If the company scales well and the company does well, there is an opportunity to do a secondaries transaction and get that company into a new fund, so that you can ride the full journey along with the entrepreneur, right? So these things hopefully will happen in the ecosystem, and that also will play into the India's journey of deep tech.
Right.
Oh yeah, more than they were when we had invested back in 2018 and 2019.
Right.
Definitely there's more capital available. So there are a lot of success stories, right? So Idea Forge is a great example of Deeptech company being IPO'd. And recently there was another company which got funded in the drone sector by General Catalyst. I don't remember the name of the company, but that was a very large number that they got funded. So the way I see it is what happened to SaaS, let's say 5 years back, is going to happen 5 years hence with some of these deep tech companies. Right? We'll see large checks coming in, large fund, large revenues getting generated from these companies over the next 5 years, because this is a prep time. Okay, and the boom is, I think, in next 5 years, 10 years hence.
Right.
So, and that is being noticed by a lot of people in the ecosystem, which is why a lot of funds are talking about, a lot of VCs are talking about funding deep tech also. There has been change in the VC ecosystem. There's been change in the founder's thought process that, okay, this is too hard. I don't know whether I'll succeed or not. That is not there in a lot of cases. That is because there is enough support for them in terms of scientific incubators and research labs actually providing the support infra that they need to build hard technologies. And there is an attitude shift also in our founders that I want to create something from India which is renowned across the world. So attitudes changing, VCs being much more open, ecosystem has been created over the last 10 years, which will act as a foundation. Government is supporting. So all of this will play into. All of these have changed over the last 5 years, right? So,
While India is recognizing and scaling these startups, are there still times when you look at a startup company and go, maybe if it was in the US or Europe, this would scale or commercialize much better?
Yes, I mean, a lot of times, but not to say that India is not a market.
Right.
But India is a very, very discerning market. The Indian customer is very discerning.
Right.
He is very cautious about the price that he is going to pay. Because, I mean, traditionally we are a compressed margin economy.
Right.
It's a reality, business reality that we are more value conscious than anywhere across the world. So in that sense, India will, if you can sort of scale within India, scaling in US, Europe is that much more easier, right? You have a better chance, obviously, if you have a global product. So no, as in that thought continues to stay, because that won't change. The discerning nature of an Indian customer won't change, or will not change in the near future. But that said, there are great companies that we have funded who are based in India. Atomberg is a great example, where they have done about 1,000 crores revenue in India. Chakkar is a great example. All of these are deep tech companies, right? Atomberg has their innovation in motor. Chakkar is a pollution emission reduction company. So these are two great examples in deep tech which have scaled in India.
Right. Compared to your competitors in Bangalore, how do they view, or how does Inflexor view patient capital's growth in India?
So I wouldn't compare myself, Inflexor, to anyone else, because people in VC are generally patient.
Right.
You can't become a VC if you're not patient. Then you're probably in the wrong place. But since we fund deep science or so to say companies based in science, engineering, technology fields, it will take that much more time, that much more effort and energy for the company to actually reach that inflection point. And there are companies which I can sort of take example, like Bellatrix we funded in 2019. We are in 2025, 6 years, right? And we clearly see another 4 years for that company to reach where we think it should be reaching.
Right.
So we are happy to sort of stay for that long. Same is the case with Nopo. And Atomberg, we have been invested in for the past 2016 is when we funded them.
Right.
So all of these are examples in our portfolio which we have supported for a long period of time without exiting these companies. And that's when actually value, patient capital is also, I mean, it needs that IRR clock also needs to happen, right? So patient capital is not just you're not being patient for being patient sake. We see value, if you stay that much more longer, is when actually value gets created for the investors or the LPs that we are onboarding as investors.
Is there still pressure on founders though?
Like?
To scale immediately or get the returns and investments?
Founders, I mean, the pressure always has to stay on founders, because let's say, for example, somebody is trying a innovation or some change in their production process or something like that, which will increase their output. Right, change the rate at which you are producing your capacity and stuff. There has to be pressure on the founder to make that happen as soon as possible. If you don't put that pressure, people tend to take a lot more time. Okay, so that should not be equated with patient capital. That is a different aspect altogether. This is a different aspect altogether. We are patient, but at the same time, the founder needs to push to deliver the committed outcome in the committed timeline in the manner that it should be delivered, right? And it's our job to actually push the founder to do that.
Right.
So yeah, so that pressure should always be there. That right amount of stress should always be there.
Right.
But it should not be like so bad that the founder can't come to office or is falling sick. Right. So that is not the kind of pressure that we would want to actually put.
Right. Experts argue that deep tech investment in India is all VC theatre, good press, big headlines, but like weak infrastructure and not so strategic exit paths. How do you respond to that?
So, for us, we have always been, we are not, Inflexor per se has not changed its thesis from the day one that we started. Right. We have always backed companies which are based in science, engineering, technology. And I can pick multiple examples in my mind who are peer funds who do very similar stuff like us, right? They're probably not invested in same companies as us, but they're doing other companies which we haven't sort of funded. Right? So I don't know if I completely agree with the VC theater piece. We have seen outcomes in these companies by funding these companies. Which is why other VCs are also coming in and wanting to fund these companies, right? That's how I feel. Weak infrastructure is a point in time thing, right? Infrastructure will be weak probably today. So if you compare 2010 to 2015, ecosystem has changed. 2015 to 2025, ecosystem has changed multifold.
Right.
The same thing is going to happen in the next 10 years. If you don't start at all, things won't change, right? So that I don't, probably it is weak today. I'm no one to sort of, it's a personal view, right? I may say it is strong, you may say it is weak.
Right.
But the point is, if you don't start, it never get strong, right? So that is on the weak infra part. On exits, there are multiple examples of, we have done enough research in this space to know that there are multiple exit examples. Even within our portfolio, Steradin is an example that we have exited out of.
Right.
There is a company called S-Cube, which was a first company that we funded from Fund 1. They were into industrial construction software. So that's a very niche, actually a deep tech software that the company had built. They got acquired by Bentley. So if you have a technology which clearly is solving a problem in the larger ecosystem of products, you will find a buyer. It only matters what is the amount of funding that you are giving them, what is the price that you are entering those companies, and is it a reasonable price or not. Right? Absolutely. So if those things are taken care of when you are investing, I think good products will always have good chances of exit.
Right. The same critics also say that India doesn't have the patience or the policy for deep tech. We only have press releases. What would you say to that?
The multiple policies that government has taken up. We have seen, right? So deep tech fund, the science.
Right.
This government especially has come up with multiple policies which actually support deep tech entrepreneurship. And specifically, I would like to call out space. Government has gone behind space, like they really want to make it a sector which was like a tech services sector which was there for 10 years behind. Companies like Wipro, Infosys scaled. They want to make space that kind of a sector for India. And multiple agencies that they had put in place to do that, like the InSpace, which license between ISRO and companies to provide the actual technologies from ISRO to companies, right? NCIL, which is an arm, which is actually a commercial arm, which is trying to sort of negotiate contracts between private companies and space ISRO. These are multiple organizations that government have established for enabling private space companies in India. right?
Right.
And similar stuff is happening in semiconductors. So I wouldn't completely agree that government is not doing anything.
Right.
They are taking the required steps. If we want the result in the next 1 or 2 years, those results are not going to happen. But if you are willing to consistently be with the policy and expand the policy by taking feedback from the ecosystem over the next 5 to 10 years, obviously there is going to be a big change in the deep tech ecosystem.
Right. We call ourselves the competitors with US and China, but when it comes to R&D budget, we're way below 1% of our GDP with that, where the counterparts are maybe about 3.5%.
Right.
What kind of growth would you expect from India in the next 5 years?
I mean, we also have to think about this,
Right.
put this in perspective of the realities of our country. Right. So we can't be like a US or a China overnight.
Yeah.
Right. So there are multiple other ground level problems, like people don't have proper food, shelter. A lot of sections in the Indian society don't have the basic needs of a human being. Right. So obviously government will try to focus on bringing them up the value chain and increasing their income levels before actually going and spending in R&D. Because that's any country's path. You'll have to take care of your basic necessities before you go on to those. I mean, even Maslow's hierarchy of needs are similar, right? So a similar path would be followed. I mean, India's economy is going to be like a $5 trillion economy in the next 2-3 years. 1% of $5 trillion economy is a big number.
Right.
Obviously, when you compare it to US or China, it will seem small, but that itself is a big number. And the frugal innovation that we are capable of in India, we can make a lot of use from that money. That's, I think, what I would think about, right? And once the country or the nation reaches a certain per capita income for each family, obviously government will change the nature of spending that they are doing on some of these activities, I think.
Coming back to deep tech, you mentioned that machine learning 10 years ago was called deep tech. Do you think the deep tech term is being overused right now?
We consciously sort of are calling ourselves that we invest in science, engineering, technology. Deep tech is a great term which is being, I mean, it's ubiquitously used both in outside of India, in India, right? But I don't think it actually sort of represents what it should be conveying to the audience.
Right.
It's a lot of times people don't know what deep tech means.
Yeah.
Right. So it's always a debate key. What is deep tech? What is not deep tech? So I do think, I mean, that word has gotten overused a little over the last, let's say, 6 months to 1 year. But we try to sort of call that we invest in science, engineering, and technology, which is again a broad field, but you cover multiple things in that domain, right? Even biotech is science. Right, we have a biotech company called Bioprime, right, in our portfolio.
Yeah.
So it's not technology in the popular sense of the word, but it's actually science. There is Yakrita Life Sciences, which is a healthcare company, right? It is medical science, right? So yeah, so that's how I would sort of want to define our investing thesis.
Yeah. Is it easier in the VC community to differentiate between these terms?
I mean, VC community usually knows. I mean, we know the language that it's like I know Kannada, you know Kannada, right? So we know what language we are speaking. So it's easy when you talk about companies. We more discuss about, okay, what is the company that you are doing? What is the company I am investing in? Right? What is the differentiator there? So it's more deeper conversation than just the terms.
Right.
So we go to the company level and sort of discuss about what is different about this company. Right? When we are talking in VC parlance.
Right.
Yeah. Actually send them to outside of India.
Right.
Right. So if somebody has to scale globally, we think that that global scale has to be ingrained in your thought process from the day you start. You can build the product in India, but you need to understand what customers are thinking outside of India to actually be able to sell well outside of India. Because a lot of times what happens is you build something for India, that product is completely not relevant for global customers. So if you are thinking about global scale, think of it from day one. Don't think of it after you have traveled for 2-3 years.
Right.
Because that's like starting again. Right? You'd rather sort of start from that framework and build stuff for global customers.
When you look back in 10 years, what do you want Inflexor to be remembered in terms of impact and not IRR?
Impact, clearly that we want to be known as people or fund who has supported great technology companies.
Right.
And great example is Atomberg. That's our first, we are the first institutional investor in Atomberg, and clearly Atomberg has done very, very well for us. A lot of people had questioned us why we are investing in that company, because they were doing only ceiling fans.
Okay.
But our conviction was based on the fact that their technology is innovative. It's actually game-changing technology.
Right.
So we want to we at least want to be known as people who have backed technologies which have created like large categories and large markets through science, engineering, innovation. Right? So that's what I would want us to be known for over the next 10 years. Not just for IRR, but actually creating that kind of an impact on the market.
When was the last time you looked at a pitch or a founder and thought, this is why I got into venture capital?
Last time was the company that we had funded recently, the robotics plus AI company that we funded. So any company that we fund, it gives you that energy or the kick. We obviously are here to sort of make the IRR, and obviously we will exist only if we deliver returns to LPs. But a larger objective that all of us are very, very passionate about in Inflexor is actually supporting the founder, working with the founder through their journey. Not only helping the founder scale, we ourselves are growing as people.
Right.
Because a lot of times a founder's problem becomes our problem, right? And we lose sleep over that.
Right.
And those difficulties actually change you as a person, right? So I am clearly in it for that. That will never sort of go away.
Right.
And if that goes away, then might as well not stop.
Right. If there was one advice you want to give passionate founders in Deeptech right now, what would that be?
I mean, be courageous. I think don't sort of doubt. You may have an audacious goal. A lot of times, probably you will doubt whether this is going to happen or not.
Right.
Don't stop searching for a solution. That's one thing that I would have a sales mindset. Like if you don't have a sales co-founder, build a product which actually can be commercialized.
Right.
Don't build technology for technology's sake. No, understand your market, understand your customer, and build the product for the customer. Otherwise, you are just wasting your time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Murli, for an insightful conversation about deep tech ecosystem in India. One key takeaway that I've taken is, in a world where everything is so fast, deep tech is not about speed, but the depth. Thank you for watching AIM TV. Subscribe for more such conversations. Thank you.
Thank you.